Hi, I'm Jack, and welcome back because today I'm going to give you guys my ranking of all 4 live-action Star Wars Disney Plus shows that are currently streaming, and I'm going to give you guys a ranking of it. This will include The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Andor. Before I give you guys my ranking, let me know down below in the comment section what your ranking of these shows are. If you don't want to give me a ranking, just give me your favorite. I love to see all of that fun stuff down below in the comment section. And my overall consensus of the shows is that I only really like or love 2 of these shows. One of them I don't dislike, but it could have been better, and the other one I really just don't like. So with that said, let's get started. In last place, without a doubt, is The Book of Boba Fett. I was really excited for the show ever since they announced it at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2, especially because I really liked Temuera Morrison and Ming-Na Wen as Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, and that's going to be about the criminal underworld of Tatooine. So this show had all the ingredients to be good, but it was an absolute letdown. I did not like how it treats Boba Fett as a character. They made him a really useless character who gets beaten around a lot, and he loses all the charm and all the intrigue of his character to where he doesn't speak a lot and has his helmet on. This show decides to strip all of that, where he gets beaten around a lot, he doesn't seem like he's as smart as he should be, and he takes off his helmet too much, and he speaks too often. And it does not treat his character very well. I did not like what they do with him. And right off the bat, there's no stakes. They have the Pikes as the villains, but even they just came out of nowhere. There's no suspense or tension with them as villains. And the whole storyline with the Tusken Raiders, there are ideas there that could have been pretty good. But after episode 2, they just dropped the ball. We have characters that are just very ludicrous, like the Major Domo.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, man.
And this is a show that had some ideas here, but not only was I not a fan of the ideas, but the execution presentation of it wasn't really that strong either. And although the Mandalorian stuff was added into the mix in the 5th episode and 6th episode of the show, it highlights my issues that this is a show that feels like it exists mainly to just give us something in between Mando Season 2 and 3, because this show in the end, just reuniting Din and Grogu, as much as I like them together, doing it in another show way too soon after Mandalorian Season 2 was a really bad idea for me, and that's one thing about Mando Season 3 I'm a little bit worried about. So in the end, I didn't like Book of Boba Fett. It's the Disney Plus Star Wars show that I don't really have any plans to revisit of the 4 that's on the list. And as much as I liked the cast and the character of Boba Fett, this was a very disappointing show about the character of Boba Fett. In 3rd place is Obi-Wan Kenobi. This was my most anticipated Star Wars show of last year. Prequel trilogy got better for me as time goes on, and I love Ewan McGregor as an actor, and seeing him and Hayden Christensen reprise their roles as Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. And while I didn't dislike the show at first, I really liked it, and so is the fact that I definitely don't think it's worse than Book of Boba Fett personally. The more time goes on, the show doesn't really hold up that well for me. As a whole, it really doesn't do much for the Star Wars universe. It doesn't really add anything to elevate aspects of Revenge of the Sith or A New Hope. And the score of this show is easily the worst out of any Star Wars project. Outside of the John Williams theme, which I liked, the rest of the score rang so hollow for me, and it was very forgettable. And the production quality baffles me. This is by far the cheapest looking Star Wars show, one of the cheapest looking shows on Disney Plus, and the fact that it's about 2 iconic Star Wars characters like Kenobi and Vader with 2 legacy actors, and it looks like this and not as good as a show like Andor, it blows my mind, and I just don't understand why they didn't put more money into the show to make it look a lot better. Action sequences as a whole, while I didn't mind a few of the action sequences, I didn't mind the final fight between Kenobi and Vader in the end. They're very choppy, and I didn't like the shaky cam aspect of it, and it definitely feels like they were holding back on action sequences when they should have filmed them a lot better and made it go all out. But one thing about it that really hurts the show for me looking back at it is some of the writing decisions that are made. Like the chase scene from Leia, ridiculous. Tala slapping a stormtrooper, pretty stupid. Obi-Wan hiding Leia in his trench coat in episode 4, also kind of stupid. And writing decisions like, if Leia gets captured, how would they know Obi-Wan was going to go after her? Why didn't Leia and Bail Organa get executed because of this if they were Jedi sympathizers? And Why would Obi-Wan bury his lightsabers? Why would he leave Vader alive in the finale? There's just a lot of writing decisions in Kenobi that don't really make any logical sense here, and it really hurts my opinion on the show the more I were to think about it. So it's a disappointment because while I don't think it's worse than Book of Boba Fett, I would much rather watch this, and I'm not entirely against revisiting the show. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a project that had its moments. I don't despise it, but it's a show that I think is fine, even though it had its issues. And while there are moments about it that I like, I'm happy we got to see Hayden and Ewan return to Star Wars. This is a show that had all the potential to be really good, but it just didn't capitalize on that potential. And in the long run, it could have been so much more. In second place is The Mandalorian. I really enjoyed The Mandalorian by far. It's not my favorite of the shows. If you look higher, you know exactly what number one is going to be. But Mandalorian is a show that I enjoyed. It's definitely one I've watched the most when it comes to these shows. I like Din Djarin, and I like Pedro Pascal as a character here. And I like that it's this new Star Wars show about a bounty hunter just making his way across the galaxy and how he stumbles across the child, and his sole mission became protect the child. And the volume and the visual effects for the three shows that use the volume, this, Kenobi, and Boba Fett, it looks the best in Mandalorian here. I like the score by Ludwig Göransson. I like the action sequences. And it's a really entertaining watch, and I really enjoyed the first season with having that new, fresh Western and more grittier action side of the Star Wars universe with the show. Maybe not the best way to describe it, but I enjoyed the fresh new take on Star Wars it tried to give. And even though there are some episodes on the show that maybe aren't the greatest, like episode 5 of season 1 or whatnot, it's a show that I really enjoyed the whole way through. There are issues there. I do think season 2 relied a little bit too much on cameos and the fan service-y bits, like Ahsoka showing up, Bo-Katan showing up, and so as Luke Skywalker in the end. But I did think the show handled cameos and fan service far better than Boba Fett does, where we have Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka show up for no reason in a show that's supposed to be about Boba Fett, but we all know how that turned out. But I enjoyed Mandalorian. It's a show that I really like. It's a show that I have rewatched the most out of what we've had so far. And although I'm bummed that they reunited Din and Grogu on another show very soon, I'm hoping season 3 is good because I like Din and Grogu. I enjoy the show. I like just these characters and this side of these Star Wars Disney Plus shows. So I'm curious to see where they go with season 3. So while Book of Boba Fett did taint aspects of the show for me, and I like the action sequences and the characters of Mandalorian, it's a show that I enjoyed. But coming in at first place is Star Wars The Bad Batch. I really like the Bad Batch characters, seeing them navigate the galaxy after the events of Order 66 and what they're trying to do to stay alive and how they deal with the Empire and the Crosshair storyline. And seeing them just go on missions of the week, they try to steal something and get away with it. Really fun, and I really enjoy most of the episodes of... Oh, hold on a second. This is live-action Star Wars shows, ain't this right? Okay, this is animated. This is actually not my number one because in first place is Andor. This is the Star Wars show I needed. After Boba Fett was a big disappointment, after Kenobi really should have just been a movie with a better story, Andor lived up to its fullest potential. The writing here is superb. The performances all across the board are fantastic, from Stellan Skarsgård, Genevieve O'Reilly, Diego Luna, Andy Serkis. Everybody here was so good. It's a Star Wars show that doesn't really focus on fan service the way the other 3 shows really did, and it had a story, has a new, fresh take on Star Wars, where it's a combo of Star Wars and Blade Runner with a compelling story with these characters where everybody's memorable and there's a lot of stakes and tension, where this is a show that was even better than I expected it to be. Where Andor was my least anticipated show of the 3 we had last year, and this ended up being my number 1. It's the one that blew me away the most. I love the action sequences here, especially having some of my favorite episodes in Star Wars TV history with One Way Out.
There is one way out. Right now.
The Eye, Rick's Road. This is a great spy thriller show. I love the characters. I love the dialogue and the writing. And this is by far the best looking show of the bunch. It went practical. They filmed stuff on location, and the sets and how everything looks and feels. This is exactly the kind of quality I want out of these shows. And I love just seeing the story of Cassian Andor and these characters in the earlier days of the rebellion before it really starts to grow. And with incredible action sequences, brilliant writing, fantastic monologues even, and by far having really good suspense to where you have arcs and each episode develops an arc and then you get the payoff and it really delivers on the promise of the potential that those arcs had. And it is by far the one that shocked me the most. It blew me away the most. And out of all 4 of these shows we have on the list, Andor is easily the best of the shows. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Andor Season 2 because Andor Season 1 was fantastic, and it is by far my favorite Star Wars project to come out of the Disney Lucasfilm era of Star Wars. So in the end, in first place is Andor. That's my ranking of all 4 Star Wars Disney Plus shows from worst to best. What's your ranking? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to know your ranking down below. Stay tuned for some upcoming videos I have planned very soon. And don't forget to follow me on social media. My username is down below at the bottom of the screen and in the description below. So please go do that while you're at it. And thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button. And stay tuned for more.